Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bald Fox. I am Guy on the line with
Anthony Garibay over here at the Podcashed Studios.
And today we are going to chat it up. We're going to give a little background on myself, talk about life events, and how we got to where we are today.
Speaking of, so you're here in Canyon Lake, California now. Where were you before this? What city did you come out of?
Well, how long of a sheet of paper do you have?
Oh man, one of those. Yeah. I'm the same way. Exactly. Yeah.
I have, my wife, she thinks it's funny. She's only lived in a few homes in her entire life, where as a child, there was times when we moved twice a year.
Yeah, same way.
So,
yeah.
You try to think back, and I try to go, okay, where did I have my longest stint?
Sure.
I mean, it almost sounds like a prison sentence, right? Where was your longest stint?
That would be high school.
Okay. So for me, let's see. When I was a child,
Yeah.
I was born and raised in San Bernardino.
Okay.
So that period of my life, let's see, I can recall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna say 6, maybe 7.
Wow.
In San Bernardino in a 10-year span.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll give credit to 6 years up until 1989 when my mother moved us to Moreno Valley.
It was just you, your mom?
So, ironically, I come from a larger family.
Yeah.
I'm one of 7 kids.
Okay.
So there's 6 boys and 1 girl.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting. My mother decided to have kids over a 20-year span. God bless her soul.
Yeah.
Her first child was a daughter, a
Okay.
girl, and I believe she kept trying to have another girl.
Yeah.
Except boys just kept coming out. And at some point, we were high-fiving like, "Yeah, you're next," and that's kind of the process, right?
I see.
So we moved to Moreno Valley. At that time, some of the kids were older. Got to remember, there's a 20-year spread. I'm number 5 in line.
Oh man.
So my brother that is older than me is 4 years
Yeah.
older. Then my next brother is 4 years older than him.
Oh.
Then my next brother is 2 years older than him, followed by my
wow.
sister a year older than him. Now going reverse, my next sibling below me
Yeah.
is 6 years younger than me,
Dang.
and then the baby is 8 years younger.
That's pretty spread apart.
Right, 20-year spread.
Wow.
Right. So, and during this period, predominantly, now the upper 3 children, my oldest sister and 2 older brothers there,
Yeah.
they share the same father.
Okay.
And the guy was just an amazing soul.
All right.
Great father, great human being. He was a bit older than my mom when they married. I believe she was 18, he was 33,
Okay.
I believe at the time.
Yeah.
So there was a big age gap. There was a different view of life and circumstance, right?
Yeah.
His priorities were probably different than an 18-year-old girl.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, and rightfully so. I think my mother realized later in life that she probably should have stayed with him.
Yeah.
I think we would all agree. He ideally was the love of her life.
I see.
But again, you have a young girl
Yeah.
that is outgoing, that is very sexual, that is very wanting to experience,
Yeah,
and
yeah, life,
he wasn't really an overly sexual person. He was a guy that went and worked and provided well for the family.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lavish lifestyle. You're not living at the beach and enjoying life, but
Yeah.
you had a comfortable life and you had the things you needed.
Sure. Yeah.
My mother was then swayed away by my father. Now,
Okay.
my father was a whole different story. My father was the Italian guy, that was 5'4". He was literally reminds me of like a Joe Pesci, right? The
Yeah.
olive skin, black hair, and he was Army intelligence in the military and built real estate schools. So back, I don't know if you ever remember back in the day, there was real estate schools called Anthony Institute.
Okay.
So before Anthony Institute, it was Griffithe Institute.
Oh, wow.
So it was my family's.
Okay.
My father owned the schools.
Oh, wow.
And
that's pretty big.
yeah, it was cool. I mean, in San Bernardino and Riverside, those areas,
Oh, wow.
you know,
Okay.
he was. They were prominent in those areas.
Sure.
Everybody knew him. And of course, this is back in the 70s and so forth. Now, he, you know, my dad had planes, and he, you know, ended up getting his JD, and you know, so he was able to be an attorney and do the things he wanted to do
Sure.
there. It was more ego for him.
Okay.
I think it was more status.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he thought by having a JD that meant he got to put doctor in front of his name,
That's
which
funny.
really ultimately pissed a lot of people off. And come to find out, you know, my dad probably, like a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know, he was trying to build his own success. He ended up being the black sheep of his family.
Okay.
Now, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot, you know, some of the people on my dad's side of the family, and they were very warm, loving people. They were good, genuine people that, you know, had their careers and has done the things
That's
they've done.
Italian?
That's the Italian side.
Okay,
That's
okay.
right.
Nice.
And well-rounded. You know, my cousin is a director for the Channel 5 News. He's won many Emmys.
Nice. Okay.
You know, just a wonderful, wonderful soul.
Yeah.
He's also, I believe, he's the music director, or he's in the music for his church and so forth, and plays a big role in that. So kudos to all of them. I didn't really have that side of the family.
Yeah.
As you know, I wasn't really around them.
Yeah.
I didn't even meet them until later in life.
Because your dad, what, he passed away, or you know?
So basically, what was interesting about this,
Because you keep talking about him second.
yeah, in past tense, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where a lot of people can relate, right?
Yeah.
We all have dysfunctionalities in our relationships, and these relationships and dysfunctionalities mold who we are today.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll bring up the story, and then we'll see where it crossed. So, in a lot of ways, my dad was a womanizer.
Okay.
I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, yeah,
That
sure.
you know, from the research and the stories and things that you know I have learned and found, he was.
Yeah.
And I believe, you know, like everything, his ego and his want to be this person,
Yeah.
you know, made him this way, right?
Sure. Sure.
And it's unfortunate because through life you learn so many different elements and you feel different things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard, you know, from my family, my mother, that, you know, when she was young, my mother was married to my father, that, you know, he was very abusive.
Yeah.
He was an abusive person. He, you know, one time they bought a house in Highland, or maybe it was San Bernardino, Highland, San Bernardino, one of the
Yeah.
two there. And they bought this house, and my dad wanted to have he was going to have the bottom stairs, downstairs, all redone in white tile floors.
Oh, wow.
And of course, my mom said to him, and this was right before they're getting ready to get married.
Yeah.
And my mom goes, "Why would you do that? We have kids."
Yeah.
And he said, "Look in here, bitch. If you don't like it, I'll do the whole house in
Dang.
white tile." This is kind of,
yeah,
you know, and if hey, look, if that was me
Yeah.
and I was her, I'd have been like, "Peace,
Yeah.
I'm out."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but again, you know, people do things and feel things, you know, based upon the circumstances, and sometimes you feel trapped.
Sure.
You are in a mold of this because my mom probably was looking at, oh, there's this charmer that likes to dance and he's got money and
Yeah,
da da
right.
da, and,
Sure.
and you know that maybe I'll have a good life here.
Right.
Well, ultimately, you know, my mom was miserable with my father,
Okay.
and my father was very much belittling to my mom. You know, told her she was dumb, that she couldn't pass the real estate exam, and she couldn't do this, and she couldn't do that,
Yeah.
and ultimately, you know, he was abusive, and as time went on, my mom wanted to leave him many times.
Okay.
Matter of fact, one time, my mother escaped to my dad's side of the family, and my father went down to Orange County and got into a fight with his own brother
Oh, wow.
in the front yard over this,
Oh,
right?
man. Yeah.
My mom
I've
is.
seen those.
Oh yeah, my mom escaped and was at her home, and she was packing, and her first husband, just an amazing soul, came over there to try to protect her from
Yeah.
my father.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. My father, knowing that my mom was going to try to leave him, tried to trap her. He switched out her birth control pills
Oh, wow.
so that he can get her pregnant.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's where I came along. So I was actually born out of an act of revenge to try to keep my mother.
Nice. You're
Okay?
just a force.
So it gets better too, because so my mom finally ends up leaving, right? So she leaves, and my dad ends up dating and marrying this other lady, Charlotte. And it's interesting because I remember
Yeah.
being a child, and Charlotte's now had convinced my father
Yeah.
that I was not his child.
Wow. This is like Days of Our Lives.
As
But like
the
with a
wor-
twist.
As the world turns.
With a twist on it.
So here's the deal. I don't know if anybody knows. I mean, I'm bald now, but I wasn't always bald. As a child, I had, red hair and freckles.
Yeah.
Right? Now, as I've gotten older, I've become ravishingly good looking, and the hair has fallen off, and the face is smooth.
Yeah.
It's freckled with nice white hair now. Anyhow, so as we move along, I remember going to my dad's apartment
Yeah.
with Charlotte, and one time I went into the kitchen and I said, "What's for breakfast?" And she literally sent me to the corner. She had my brother come in and eat breakfast and wouldn't feed me.
Okay.
She had this thing against me because she convinced my dad that I looked nothing like him.
Yeah.
That can't be your child.
Wow.
You look nothing like him. So my dad, over time, started to believe.
Yeah.
And again, you have to wonder, because here's the mentality of a cheater.
Yeah.
A cheater is always going to deflect, right?
Yeah. Okay.
A cheater has a hard time realizing that, or accepting, or acknowledging that they have issues or they're doing something wrong.
Sure.
So even if they are doing something wrong, which goes into kind of like a narcissistic personality,
Sure, right.
it goes into the, no, it's not me, you must be doing it.
Yeah.
That
right.
child does not look like me.
Yeah.
You must have cheated on me.
I see.
Just
Yeah,
because I cheated on you, you must have done that too.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So
Sure.
if you went through all that, and
Mhm.
plus sounds like some kind of personal, as well, like with the girl, and I probably wonder how old she was, probably like in her 20s, 18, 19, kids were young back then. I mean, to get from there to where you're at right now today, like with your business,
Mhm.
having kids, being married, being somewhat successful in the community, like how do you shift your mindset from stuff like that? Like have you, really thought about it, or how do you kind of make it through?
Well, okay. So we are all products of our growth,
Yeah.
of our childhood, of our upbringing and our surrounding.
Sure.
Okay? And a lot of times, as I've grown, I always told myself that I want to be better than him.
Right.
Okay? I've never had a father.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm the one that was raised by a single mother, and these circumstances I remember, and I know I'm going back, but I'm doing that to come forward.
Sure, yeah, right.
And I remember going out there and telling him, "Hey, Mom said you can't take my brother unless you took me."
Yeah.
And he drove away and never came back.
Mm.
And so remember, all of these things we carry in our life as we grow, as we move on, right?
Right.
They're part of who we are. And if you don't learn to process and to deal with them,
Yeah.
they are going to affect every single decision and thing you make in your life, whether it's your business, family, friends, loved
Sure,
ones,
yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So my mom was a struggling single mom.
Yeah.
At one point, there was 7 to 9 of us in a 500 square foot 2-bedroom apartment.
Mm.
And we didn't always have lights and food at the same time.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to live in that struggle.
Yeah.
My mom didn't want to live in that struggle. And my mom was very beautiful. Sure. She was a model and a dancer when she was younger, and did all these cool things. And she was on Love Connection in the 80s, nice. and cool. and they had her plaster all over the commercials for weeks, and it was really cool, right? So the problem is, you hold and you harbor these things. Well, through my life, it became very challenging. It became very challenging because I was a child that didn't have a father, like many.
Sure.
I had a single mom doing the best she could to try to support us, while she had no child support from my father, who just basically was working to manipulate the system because he was self-employed and wanted to show the cord. And back in the 80s, it wasn't like today, where we can just pull electronic data and get everything on everyone, right?
Yeah.
So he just basically said, "Oh, I'm losing money. I have no money," and never paid child support. and it became one of those things where, so she's literally struggling on her own to try to raise these kids. You look back, because there was a period of my life where I carried a lot of animosity towards things with my mom.
Yeah.
And I was very vocal about it in some regards because it was painful.
For what? For having your dad in your life, or
no? I think it was because, for me, there was my 2 younger siblings that I had to play an active role in help raise.
Okay.
And because I had to play an active role in raising them, I didn't get to do some of the things that I wanted to do as a child.
Yeah, right.
I didn't have the necessarily always the option to be able to just go out and do things, or play certain sports, or get the support that we give our children, or want to give our children, in their education and all of that.
Yeah.
It's important, because all of this today impacts who we are.
Yeah.
So as we were progressing, I talked about this in a prior podcast. I was in 2nd grade, maybe 3rd. I believe it may have been 3rd. And I had an opportunity that the teacher, Ms. Phillips, was going to do a play. And I really wanted to play a role in that play. I even had a character picked out that I wanted to play. And I remember she was walking, and we were at lunch, and we were inside the building. I saw her coming, and I threw out there that, I hope she chooses me for this role.
Yeah.
And she did. And I did a fantastic performance. And this is what, kind of got my mind working in the entertainment world, right? The issue is that as life has progressed, I was always the lead role in every play that I ever auditioned for. And I was good at it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now, my mom, still being a single mother, trying to survive and trying to do the best she could, trying to find her love, so that she can be happy, because she was a to the core hardcore romantic, right? And like some women, even today, really wear those emotions on the sleeve, but she was a Libra, and I don't know, but in spite what people believe, there are 2 types of Libra. There are the Libra like my brother, who is straight and very, very calm, very. Then there's the one that they're on the broomstick, off the broomstick.
Yeah.
That was my mom.
Oh boy.
So, and granted, she has a great heart.
Yeah.
Very compassionate. Moving forward, now I have no dad.
Yeah.
So I don't have the opportunity to have those experiences like a lot of people do, or the foundation of having a father to give any kind of guidance and this. Now, it's interesting because you asked the question of how do you separate that moving forward in how you do business and you tackle the structure of your emotions,
your family, everything.
All of it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's fast forward for a little bit. So when I was 15, I started working my first job. Now, I was working prior to that, but I was setting appointments and doing things for my mom for her job. Okay. Then ended up getting a job for a company called HUD Publishing in Redlands, where a gentleman by the name of Stephen Miller owned the company. What he did is he created these mini 203K and 4155 HUD books that were like pocket books that real estate people and mortgage professionals could use that had all the guidelines. We didn't have it in computers yet. Right. So it was all still flipping books like the good old Thomas guys before we had MapQuest and Waze and all that. Right.
I remember.
So we would sell these to all of these professionals. So I remember that at that point it was about the hustle, right? Because before that I was in a foster home. There's a whole era of stuff that happened there where I was done being, having to take care of my brothers and everything that was going on in my life, and just I needed to get out. And so I went to a safe house in Riverside. It's called Safe House, an amazing organization. Loved those people. They saved my life. I went to a foster home, but the foster home, that's a whole other story. But it drove me back to go back to my mom's. So where this is going to lead to is I was very hungry to work and be willing to do things. Now, I wasn't able to go to school like a lot of normal people. There was too many transitions. There's too many things going on. Okay? And at the end of the day, I needed to survive. Okay? I'm a 15-year-old kid that needs to make money. I need to figure out where I'm going and how I'm going to do it. Okay? So I was enrolled in a, when you, like an independent study, but you go there once a week, right? And turn in your work and everything else, until I was able to take the CHSB, which is a California High School Efficiency Exam that allows you have to be at least a sophomore, and if you pass it, then you graduate early with an actual diploma from your high school. Okay, and that allows you to finish high school early. You can go right into college. I didn't have the option of going into college at the time. I needed to survive.
Got it.
So I was working for this company, and what I did is I was doing sales for them, but he got into a little bit of a financial pickle. And I'll be damned if he didn't collect that money, we weren't going to get paid.
Oh, man.
So I said, hey, I'll go collect it. Now, just to give you guys an image, people who've known me through my life, they know me as, business guy in suits and everything, right? I was 15 and a half years old. I had bright pink fuchsia hair.
Oh, wow.
Smoking my cigar, I had earrings, a tongue ring.
Oh, wow.
So I looked like a little punk rocker back in, the mid-'90s, right? So, and that was mostly influenced by my first wife that I was with for 5 or 6 years. It was funny. She's half white, half Mexican. She looks like a Mexican, but she's the whitest girl you'll ever meet. and she had. She was into all that stuff like Rancid, and Green Day was her favorite, right? You just evolve into it. It's funny because I was raised by my mother and my brother, where we were listening to Bon Jovi and Queensryche, and then going to my mom when it's like Julio Iglesias and all of them, right? So I had a wide spectrum.
Definitely.
I'll tell you what. If we were driving down the road and I decided to turn on anything other than K-Rock, my wife was like, "You can take my ass home.
Oh, wow.
I'm not listening to this shit."
That's
like,
that's
wow.
Nice.
And I still married her after that. Anyhow, so I drove out to Pasadena and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm here to pick up a $2,000 check.
Oh, wow.
I'm not leaving until I get the check." And I waited, and they finally brought me that check.
Nice.
So I ended up going back, and then he promoted me. Now I ran the retention department, customer service, and ran sales.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So now I'm starting to make decent money.
You get good experience. That's a lot.
Right. And I thank my mom, because she prepped me in advance with making appointments and knowing how to kind of interact with people, right?
Nice.
Even at 15 and 16 years old, I sounded older on the phone. So nobody knew that there was just this kid calling, to set appointments or do all this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So when I was 16 years old, I was already making $36,000 a year.
Oh wow! Oh, especially back then, that's a lot.
It was a lot of money. And here was the thing. So everybody goes, oh well, did you get any help? No, I didn't get any help.
Nice.
I literally got up every day. At one point, I was working 3 jobs. Then I was working for the publishing company and Del Taco.
Yeah.
Just because, you needed to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
And I bought my first car. Oh, Lord help me. It was a Dookie Brown 1984 Chrysler LeBaron.
Oh, wow.
I bought it for $800. I was paying $75 a week until that car was paid off.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to know what happened the week it got paid off?
Crashed it.
The transmission blew.
Oh,
Drive through the Del
better.
Taco.
Oh.
Which is, by the way,
Even
is how we
better.
got that job. But
That's hilarious.
but it's unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything handed to me.
Yeah.
Later in life, people just assumed, oh, you must have came from money, or you must have, had somebody pay for college. No.
Sure.
I got up and I chose to either allow the things that have happened to me to negatively impact me, or to choose to make them as a strength to fight forward.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay? We have that choice each and every day.
Yeah.
Shitty stuff happens to us every day.
Sure.
Okay? People are affected by things all the time. We have a decision on how we deal with it.
Yeah.
So, as I started to get into the world of business, now I'm starting to go, okay, well, how's all this work? I was 16 years old. I emancipated myself from my mom. So at 16 years old, I became my own legal adult.
Okay.
Interesting enough, so I end up buying my first condo at 16.
All right.
It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square feet condo.
Wow.
For $69,900.
Where was that at?
It was in Mentone, Redlands, right? Upper
Oh, wow.
Redlands, yeah.
Okay.
So, it literally just sold my other condo there just a few years ago.
Was it like 400 or something?
And it was, the market was good.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, I bought that, and my mom and brothers end up having to come and move in with me.
Okay.
And, it was a little bit terrifying at some points, but I felt great because my payment was $699.
Wow.
On my condo, and I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, prior, when I said I was in a foster home, the social service person found out that I lived over here, and they showed up at my door, going, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? I bought my condo.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, why do we not even know about it?" They didn't even know. The foster parents
Wow.
were still collecting their $800 a month
Oh, wow. Yeah.
for a long time.
That's crazy.
That turned into a whole nother issue for them, I'm sure.
You want to move on to the next episode, and we'll talk more. This was good about mindset. How you got from where you were, knowing where you were to now.
Yep.
I think it's great, and then we'll come back and we'll go for the next one.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
All right.